Hi and welcome back to MDriven. Today I thought we should talk about site-to-site integration and communicating between sites. I have two sites that I created with a new site request functionality I showed you yesterday. This one site is called the blue site, and I'm going to add a class with some attributes. And just to get going, I'm gonna use the outer forms and gonna upload that site, the blue site, upload model, and I can use this one open site in External Explorer, at least if the site is chosen in the selector. I'm gonna use that outer form for searching for the blue site objects. There are none, so I use this action to create one. Adding some test data. Hello 2, hello 3 from blue. Okay, so that's one site, and I'm going to clean up this form that we're using. That one, I'm going to adopt that so it doesn't disappear if we remake the outer forms. And now the action is on the top menu, and that will look like that. It's on the global menu. That's okay. And this will take us to the document form to show one object, and we're gonna clean that up to lessen the confusion later on. Oops, that was the wrong one. Control Z, delete widget, and that deletes the column as well, the view model column. So that's enough for our test. Uploading that. Open the site. This is what it looks like if you're too fast. Refresh. Okay. So this is the blue site, and of course we have the data left there, even if we updated everything. Okay, but I call this the blue site, so I probably should make it blue as well. Let's see where it's saved. It's saved here, so I'm gonna copy the path, and I'm gonna head over to that file location, and there's the model. And now the instruction is to get some styling into here, is to create an asset TK file. But how would you find that? Well, you would go to MDriven Wiki and search on styling, for example. Turnkey web client. Here's a lot of information of how you style. But this is actually about the assets. Let's search on assets. Theme and style. I think it's here, yeah. So here it says if your model file is something, you should name your folder that very same name, but postfix it with assets TK. So we copy the file name and set assets TK. TK for turnkey. And we want the content folder because that's where you put the user's CSS. Content folder, and we go down, and now we're in the content folder in the assets TK. We want a TK user CSS, so we do a new text document that actually should be a CSS like that, and we open that one with like Notepad, And here's where we can put our CSS. So let's Google CSS set background color from V3C like that, and we called it blue, so we better make it blue. And what will happen now when we upload the model next time, the MDriven designer will find the assets TK file, since it was named equally as our model. So, and it will pack everything in the assets TK file along to send up to the server. And on the server everything is expanded, so our CSS is applied. So now it's blue. Okay, getting ready for testing. So we have this one that is blue, and we had the other one that was red, so I'm going to open up that one as well. I did this one before. So there I have a class 1. Let's see what we have here. Well, we can, I guess, what we want to do is read something. So let's find something to read. Here we have some class 2s apparently. I'm gonna open up one of those. Well, that's okay. So I'm gonna just enter some values here. Alright, so how could we get those red values over to the blue site without too much headache? Well, in the blue site we could, in the form, we could create a new action. Either by adding a column, or why not use the UI first strategy to just draw a button. And let's set the name on it to fetch values from red site. And how would we go about that? Well, here's the new things. We have new operators called remote turnkey. So we're going to connect to a remote turnkey. Let's see what the parameters are for this one. If we hover over this, we see it's URL to turnkey and the user and a password. So an URL to turnkey, and that would be the red one. So what's it called? It's the red site, like that. And we will leave user and password blank for now. If you want, you could require a user to be logged in to read this data. But we're fine. I'm going to declare a variable called vSession to hold the session variable. Just adding a vSession here, like that, of type string. So now we have a session, and then we can use that session in other operators, like self VM, and we have a couple of one get string value. And here we are expected to send in the session ID, the VM class ID, and the column to read. So the session ID was the one we got from connect, and the class ID, I guess, would be this one. Something that identifies our object and our view model that renders the object. and attribute 1 is the one we're going to read in this case, like that. And let's try and read all 3 of these, and we're going to assign the result to attribute 1 and attribute 2 and attribute 3. And after we're done, we can do close session just to behave, like that. And we upload that one, making sure that we're pointing at the blue side. And we got the button, fetch values from red side. Now if I press that one, nothing happens. And there's some mistake in my code. Let's see what it is. And yes, one good way is to switch this one to debug to see the data behind. So just /debug behind the form, and you see all the JSON data. And here I see the VM class ID is actually formed this way. It's slightly different formulated than like how it's formulated in the URL. So that's the reason, I guess. I'm gonna paste these in. So this is the definition of what view model to use and what root identity on that view model. So fixing that, uploading the model, heading back to the blue side once it's done, and trying to read the values. Yes, so this is from the red side, and let's do some testing. So that's the text that we read. Let's put in something new here to verify, and just for experimenting, let's read it without saving it. So if I fetch now, nothing will happen because it isn't saved yet. So I save it, and now it will be fetched. That makes sense. Okay. So that was all it took to actually read from one turnkey site to another, and there are quite a few operators that are available for you for these kinds of operations. Let's see. We have the execute action, which makes it possible to execute an action or get a byte array or get a string value, or set the byte array or set a string value. So you could do a lot of data moving back and forth. And let's see if I'm going to find a grid of values to read. So here we have a grid of class 2s. Let's see what if we can read the whole grid. So this is the class ID, and that's the name of the grid, class 2. So if we were to read into attribute 3 and class 2, and updating the site by uploading the model and heading back here, refreshing and reading, and then we get the whole grid content. Let's copy that and paste it into Excel and we see it's perfect tab separated data, which is great because now we can really easily get the squared tab separated data from anywhere. So let's see. We can actually just copy data from a site like this and paste into Excel. And what we also have added is the import functions. So what we can do is, let's see. So what makes all this possible to get the tab separated data is a new operator called get grid as tab sep data. So there you can send in a view model column and get all the data in the grid as a tab separated string. And then we have import tab sep data, which is probably like I've written in the documentation, the coolest thing ever, because then you can use the tab separated data easily in OCL. So what can you do with it? Well, let's check out. I did something on the red side here. So if I copy, we have the import function implemented in this button. So if I take some data and change this, and it works like the first column is always the key, so it will try to find that. If I paste that into here and press import, I see that it updates the data, the correct object to the new value. So this is a really fast and easy way to merge in changes that you might have had. So you can easily understand that it's a great way to do synchronization between applications. If we have this action, create new, and the import logic finds a key it doesn't recognize from before, then a new object will be created by calling the create new action. So sending data back and forth between sites is actually made very easy by these grid separated functions. So in this brief overview, I hope you have got a feeling for the new functionalities available to you in Turnkey, and also the remote turnkey read and write is available from any MDriven application. So you could actually write MDriven framework applications that communicate easily with the turnkey applications. And of course that really comes to its full right once you write MDriven turnkey applitions native on a phone or an iPad or something like that, using either Xamarin or maybe Unity. And then you want to sync information back and forth between applications, local applications and turnkey sites, and this makes it easy. So thank you for listening.